Coming up on Theater Talk.
I try to speak, but nobody can hear, so I wait around for an answer to appear while I'm watching people pass, waving through a window. Can anybody see? Is anybody waving back at me?
Theater Talk is made possible in part by the CUNY TV Foundation and WYNETTE RICHERSON. In June of 2017, Dear Evan Hansen won 6 Tony Awards, including the Tony for Best Musical. But even earlier that year, Dear Evan Hansen's creative team were our guests on Theater Talk. Joining us at our piano were composer-lyricists Justin Paul and Benj Pasek, with the show's librettist Stephen Levenson. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you so much for gathering around our Theater Talk piano.
Thank you for having us. Thrilled to be here. Thrilled to be here.
Would you like a Mai Tai?
Yeah, exactly.
We ought to begin by talking about what the show is. There's so many ways in which Dear Evan Hansen is unusual, and I think it begins with the kernel of the idea. Stephen, why don't you tell us what that kernel is and where it came from?
Dear Evan Hansen is about a high school senior named Evan Hansen, interestingly enough, who suffers from really debilitating social anxiety. He is someone that feels completely isolated in the world, completely alone, and essentially through a series of misunderstandings and inadvertent accidents, he ends up seeming to have been best friends with a fellow classmate who has killed himself. And through this mistaken identity, he forms a connection with this boy's family, and a sort of strange healing process begins for all involved.
So it's autobiographical.
Exactly, yes.
Well, it is partly autobiographical in one small way.
Yes.
You want to tell us about that?
Well, it was based on, very loosely, an incident that happened in my high school of observing that a kid who I didn't really know very well, and many of my classmates didn't know very well, passed away. And once he passed away, he became everyone's best friend after his death. And people began to use his death as a means of being seen and being heard and being noticed in a way. And I sort of did it too, and I became sort of obsessed with this kid who I didn't really know. But people would also use his death as the subject of their college essays, and in these really sort of messed up ways. And when Justin and I met and we went to college together, we would also talk about this idea, and that this phenomenon wasn't just with this singular kid who had died, but also the way that 9/11 affected our generation, or the way that we glom onto a tragedy that might not necessarily belong to us, but that we want to insert ourselves into a tragedy that we don't own because it's a reason to connect with other people.
And your protagonist, so brilliantly played by Ben Platt, is a guy who has very little connection with anybody at the beginning of our show. So it's a study of that as well, adolescent isolation.
Yeah, I think human isolation.
How did you decide to take this kernel of an idea and build it into, of all things, a Broadway musical? I mean, there are a lot of things you might think you might make out of this, an after-school special, or a serious play with no music.
And we always wanted to just try to write a musical of it because that's what we do. So I think we never thought about, is this a good musical or not? It was a story that was compelling to us, and so we thought we wanted to try to write a musical of it. Our producer on the show, Stacy Mindich, came to Benj and I now probably 8 years ago or something, 7 years ago, and sat and said, you know, what's the idea that you guys have always had that you'd like to make a musical of that you think no one would want to do? And we said, well, we definitely have one of them.
That's good producing.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. And I know she has since said, in her mind, she thought, well, I'm really devoted to these guys and I want to do something that they want to do. I have no idea how to make that a musical, but that's what they're passionate about, and so I'm going to support it. And so she supported it. She helped us find Stephen. We really sort of dove into it at that time and then got to meet with him. We had a bunch of themes that we wanted to write about. So we wanted to write about our generation's response to tragedy. We wanted to write about the world's response to tragedy, or why we lie about certain things, our identity online, our identity to other people, and we had this sort of kernel of a story. And Steven said, okay, I am processing all of that. Now let's figure out what is the story of this show, because we can't just write themes.
We knew we wanted to write something about connection and disconnection. I remember asking ourselves, well, who's a character that is incapable of connecting? What would that person be? And that should be the center of the thing.
That's a good moment to talk about one of the songs in the show.
The book writer is always setting up the song.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
This is early in the show, and not necessarily the place where you would always expect this kind of number. This is a solo for Evan Hansen. About how far into the show would you say?
Within the first 6 minutes or so?
Very soon.
10
So
minutes.
it's in the place where you would expect to be introduced to the main character in a musical way.
Right.
Perhaps not so angsty.
It's in a spot that I think would be traditionally the I Want song, but really, you know, he's wanting someone to wave back at him. He's wanting a connection with another human being.
I've learned to slam on the brake before I even turn the key, before I make the mistake, before I lead with the worst of me. Give them no reason to stare, no slipping up if you slip away. So I got nothing to share, no, I got nothing to say. Step out of the sun if you keep getting burned. Step out of the sun because you've learned, On the outside, always looking in, will I ever be more than I've always been? 'Cause I'm tapping on the glass. I'm waving through a window. I try to speak, but nobody can hear, so I wait around for an answer to appear while I'm watching people pass. I'm waving through a window. Can anybody see? Is anybody waving? When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? When you're falling in a forest, there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? Did I even make a sound? Did I even make a sound? It's like I never made a sound. Will I ever make a sound? On the outside, always looking in, will I ever be more than I've always been? 'Cause I'm tapping on the glass, waving through a window. I try to speak, but nobody can hear, so I wait around for an answer to appear while I'm watching people pass, waving through a window. Can anybody see? Is anybody waving back at me? Is anybody waving?
Wow.
So, Stephen. No, I'm interested. You know, you had begun to develop a reputation here in New York as a young playwright. You'd had plays at the Roundabout, The Language of Trees, the the unavoidable.
The unavoidable disappearance of Tom Durnan.
Too many words.
I know.
Cut some of those.
Yes.
So this musical is sort of thrown into your lap. Do something with it. Now, first of all, is it a job that is in any way related to playwriting, or is it a completely different craft?
It is very similar to playwriting. It's I've learned, obviously. I mean, I think so much of what happened when we started working on this is that none of us knew any better. Do you know what I mean? I certainly didn't. I didn't realize that an original musical was a particularly difficult thing, because as a playwright, you mostly write original things. So it's like, well, what could be difficult about that? The idea of suicide is like, in a new play, that's like, you know, that's run-of-the-mill stuff.
It's required.
So nothing about it seemed particularly daunting. Now, of course, you know, 6 years later, I find that amusing that we felt that way. What's similar about it, of course, is telling a story and finding the world of these characters. What's different to me is the rhythm of it. There's a really specific rhythm to a musical. And if you don't know that when you're writing it, you certainly know that when it's in front of an audience. And you can just feel, you realize that your job as the book writer really is to move us from one musical moment to the next in a lot of ways. It reminded me a lot more of writing for television, actually, which is a lot more.
Where you're building toward what?
Where you're building,
Commercials?
you can just feel the clock in your head as you're writing a scene. That, like, in a play, plays to me are so much about the breathing room of people in a room talking. There's a luxuriousness about that. And then in a musical or a TV show, there's just a sense of economy. You have to move forward more quickly.
Typically, would you write a book scene leading toward an idea that you'd already kind of spotted for this moment, or would you kind of bring things to a place where somebody had to do something and you didn't know what it was going to be?
The first probably 6 or 7 months that we worked together, we primarily just got together and would talk for a really long time and throw out ideas and just kind of try to generate the world of this show. And so by the time I went off to start writing something, we had a pretty good sense of our main characters and a general sense of the story, at least like in the first act. So then I went off and I wrote a lot of the first act like a play, and then where we had talked about songs, which we had already in the story, we had identified, and Benj and Justin had identified, this feels like this could be a song idea. So I would try to write toward those. Or sometimes in the writing I would discover, oh, this feels like a heightened moment. This could be a song. So the draft of that act that we worked from was kind of a mess of certain scenes that felt like they were in a play, certain scenes that were half written, some really long monologues that could become a song. And Benj and Justin are really good at picking out the kernel of the idea. And so, of course, a lot of what I thought would be a song wasn't a song, and a lot of what we had originally conceived of as songs didn't fit.
I was going to ask if you found that some of the kernels weren't actually going to grow. I mean,
Oh, yes.
how many songs do you suppose you wrote over the course of the process?
I'd say there's probably a cut song for every moment.
moment. Show.
Yeah, so there's another musical. Exists.
We'll be seeing that in 30 years at BAM.
It's very similar, though.
But I think when you guys ask like what made this a musical itself, I think that a big thing had to do a big moment that shifted for us in discussing it was when it became we were sort of making fun of people who were grieving online, or really looking at it from a very cynical perspective.
Parody in a way.
Like why do people do this? You know, and sort of wagging our finger at these people.
There was a whole song of people, like, to think so differently. We had an opening number that was all these sort of ridiculous, over-the-top online posts.
Can you remember any of that?
Oh, yeah.
You want to play a little bit?
I don't know about all that. That's maybe
What's one line? What's
kept
one
in the
line?
box. Well, just like, it was bragging about like your Facebook posts and how great your lives are. But I think that a big turning point for it was, instead of looking at making fun of why people do this, really trying to empathize with what in a person feels broken enough that they need to join this online movement, or that they need to insert themselves in a tragedy, not judge them for doing it, but say, what about us as a culture? Why are we all so isolated and so alone that we feel the need to be a part of this thing?
As we started to write songs, we realized we didn't want to write like all sort of cynical, sardonic songs that, like, it's like we're writing a musical, we need to find the heart in the story. We need to let this character sing genuinely.
That's one of the signal things about this show. I mean, there's a lot of musicals today which, for reasons we can discuss another time, take their tone from a need to distance the show from some of the syrup of musicals past, and therefore develop kind of brittleness and a kind of cruelty almost, which can be quite amusing.
Absolutely.
But this show does not do that, and it really decides some point along the way. It sounds like you had actual moments where you decided, we're not doing that, or not just that. We're actually going to value these people and see what they have to say. And I'm using that to get to something, which is this song that I happen to love in the second act. It's in a position that you would normally expect, once again, a very different kind of song. Is it not the second to last song?
It is.
and it's sung not by the lead, but by his mother. Somebody want to set up what this song is?
Stephen.
Sure. Well, this is, so much of the show takes place on and amid screens and with people sort of both literally talking, past one another and also figuratively talking past one another. And this is a moment in the show where a lot of the illusions that have been built up over the course of the show, not to give anything away, have sort of shattered. And we're left with a boy and his mother alone in a living room without screens and without any kind of pretense. And so this is a moment sort of where the truth comes out in some ways.
And yet the song doesn't specifically, or I shouldn't say that, it doesn't directly address the plot.
No.
She starts to sing, and as in the audience you think, okay, she's going to talk about what just happened.
That's right.
She doesn't. She talks about something that happened well before that. Which is to say the divorce from her husband that left her and her son alone, and how that felt. So this is the song called
So Big, So Small.
Big, So Small.
And
Take it away,
we don't,
JP.
I've never performed this song, so
Well,
let me
Which of you is going to be Rachel Paye Jones?
I think it's going to end up being me. I'm going to not remember the lyrics. I'll look to him.
That's fine.
He'll tell me what they are. Keith, here we go.
It was a February day when your dad came by before going away. A U-Haul truck in the driveway. The day it was suddenly real. We told you not to come outside, but you saw that truck and you smiled so wide. A real life truck in your driveway. We let you sit behind the wheel. Goodbye, goodbye. Now it's just me and my little guy. And the house felt so big, and I felt so small. The house felt so big, and I felt so small.
She continues on from there.
Was there a scene in what you'd written between the mother and the son at around that point?
There was.
In which she tried to comfort him by talking about that time?
Yeah.
So, and what did you lift anything directly the way
Oh, yeah.
the way
So, well,
scavenger
it's
lyricists
funny.
and composers
Oh,
do?
absolutely.
Gobbled up.
That never happened.
Well, yeah, I don't know. The evolution of it is that it was a scene where they were, the sort of like the payoff of the moment was that they both like ate ice cream together on their couch.
That's right.
That's what
That's
it.
right.
That's
But
what
that
it
was
was.
it, right.
Yeah.
And then when we decided that there should be a moment here for them, we talked about it together, and then Stephen wrote a beautiful scene and monologue that we then completely scavenged for, I would say ravaged even, for material for the
Well,
song.
it's one of those things you realize you feel like you are going to get a sort of head-on addressing of the issue, and you somehow find an oblique way of getting at it. And I think the song and the music and the lyrics just really do an incredible job of capturing, like you said, it's all about what we've just seen, but of course it's not actually literally about that.
At the point you wrote this song, did you have any of the cast?
Yes, actually.
We actually was with a final workshop before we went to Washington, D.C. We had done, I think, 3 before then.
Yeah, it was only like a couple of months before we started rehearsals for DC.
And I remember bringing this to the cast and hearing Rachel do it for the first time, and I definitely felt like, even if it wouldn't have worked in the musical, we didn't really know. I remember feeling like it was a special moment hearing her sing it for the first time, and it felt.
But we wrote it with her in mind.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah.
We
Really
knew
tailored it
we
for
wrote
her
it for her
voice.
voice.
When it all feels so big, till it all feels so small.
This show has been very special in the fact that, the very first reading we ever did of the show,
Much of the
4 out of the 7 characters were filled by the actors that you see on stage
Wow.
now. So
Yes, and at what point did Ben Platt come in?
that very
Day
first
one.
reading.
That very first
Yeah.
reading.
I've always wanted to ask a librettist this. Do you ever get envious of the way that music just does your job 10 times more quickly. In other words,
Yeah.
we just heard, a minute of a song. We get what that scene is. We understand who these people are. The music does so much work that it's so much harder to do in a script.
It's funny. I had an experience in D.C. at Arena Stage where we did the first production of Dear Evan Hansen, where I was standing in the back of the theater, and I think it was during Words Fail, which is another incredible musical moment in the show and an incredible acting moment for Ben Platt. And I remember listening to it and feeling a certain joy in how beautiful that song is and in how evocative that performance is of these characters that we all created together. And then a certain sadness that I would never really be able to do that. It's a little bit like standing outside of something and looking in and feeling like that's just something so miraculous, the music.
One thing I want to mention before you go is the wonderful contribution of your director, Michael Greif, because so important to this musical is the social media and the influence of social media upon kids. I mean, my assistant said to me, "You don't understand what social media is to these high school kids."
My kids say
influence.
that to me all the time.
And the way that Michael Greif has integrated, and your designers have integrated the social media is a whole other fabulous level in the show.
It became a ninth character.
Yeah, it's amazing. But I will say that you two have been nominated for the lyrics for 2 songs for the Academy Awards this year from the wonderful La La Land, and I wonder if you would play us out with one of them, City of Stars.
Sure.
But before you go, I want to thank you, Justin Paul, Benj, Pasek, Stephen Levenson, whose play
If I forget.
is at the Roundabout.
Aptly named. Yes,
For
the
joining-
reviews write
yes.
themselves.
For joining us on Theater Talk.
I'll be the
Thank you
judge
so
of
much.
Yeah, Jesse.
But we want to say you wrote City of Stars with the musical director of La La Land, Justin Hurwitz.
The composer, Justin Hurwitz, yes.
And
Who wrote the score for the film.
Which came first in City of Stars, the lyrics or the music?
The music.
So the Oscars will have been over by the time we air this, but I sure like this song.
Thank you very much.
City of stars, are you shining just for me? City of stars, there's so much that I can't see. Who knows? Is this the start of something wonderful and new, or one more dream that I cannot make true? City of stars, just one thing everybody wants. There in the bars and through the smoke screen of the crowded restaurants. It's love. Yes, all we're looking for is love from someone else. A rush,
A glance,
a touch,
a dance,
a look in somebody's eyes, to light up the skies, to open the world and send it reeling. A voice that says I'll be here and you'll be alright. I don't care if I know just where I will go, as long as I got the crazy feeling, a rat-tat-tat of my heart. I think I want it to stay. City of stars, are you shining just for me? City of stars, you've never shined so brightly. We messed that up.
or something like that.
Terrible.
Thank
We've never performed that song.
Never.
We don't.
Wow.
Yeah.
Even the dark comes crashing through, when you need a friend to carry you, but when you're broken on the ground, you will be found. So let the sun come streaming in, 'cause you'll reach up and you'll rise again. If you only look around, you will be found. You will be found. Out of the shadows, the morning is breaking, and all is new. All is new. It's filling up the empty, and suddenly I see that all is new. All is new.
Even when the dark comes crashing through, when you need a friend to carry you, when you're broken on the ground, you will be found. So let the sun come streaming in, 'cause you'll reach up and you'll rise again. If you only look around, you will be found. You will be found. You will be found.
Our thanks to the Friends of Theater Talk for their significant contribution to this production. Theater Talk is made possible in part by the Frederick Loewe Foundation, the CORY and Bob Donnelly Charitable Fund, the Noel Coward Foundation, Carrie J. Fries, the Dorothy STRELSIN Foundation, and the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs.
We welcome your questions or comments for Theater Talk. Thank you,